Hey everyone, welcome to Math Talk. I'm your host, Brian Heisler, and today I'm going to cover part 2 of the geometry section of some practice problems for the GED Math Test. If you haven't checked out my earlier videos on basic math and geometry part 1, make sure you do that. But for now, let's get started on these. Alright, so this is kind of weird because it's a probability question, I'll tell you that right off the bat, but it is considered part of the geometry section, so it's a good skill to learn. And so we have a word problem, actually 2 of them, that talk about the probability of picking a specific color in a bag of Skittles. So hopefully you like Skittles. If not, sorry, this problem is going to involve Skittles. So it says in a bag of Skittles containing 5 red, 3 orange, 7 green, 8 yellow, and 12 purple pieces of candy, what is the probability of picking a red Skittle at random? So probability. The probability can be represented in several different ways. I think the easiest is probably a fraction, and that's what I'm going to use for this one. So to find the probability, the fraction is going to be on the top, the expected outcome or what you're trying to get, and on the bottom you have the total possible outcomes. So in this one, I need a red Skittle. I was told there are 5 red Skittles. And on the bottom, I need to find how many total Skittles there are by adding the different colors together. So if I'm going to add, let's see, 5 red, 3 orange, that's 8, plus another 7 is 15, plus another 8 is 23, and then an additional 12 is 35 total Skittles. So the probability is 5 out of 35. I need to check to see if I can reduce that because your answer choices are most likely going to be reduced fractions. And so 5 and 35 can both be divided by 5. So I'm going to go ahead and actually draw that out for you because that's what I'm reducing it by. 5 divided by 5 is 1 and 35 divided by 5 is 7. So the probability of picking a red Skittle at random is 1 out of 7. So let's look at the other question. What is the probability of picking an orange or a green Skittle out of the same bag? And so the key word here is actually the word or. Because now I have 2 different options of Skittles to choose from, my probability is actually higher. And so in probability, the word or actually means add. So I'm going to take the probability of picking an orange Skittle and I'm going to add the probability of picking a green Skittle. And so let's see what that looks like. The orange ones, there are 3 oranges out of the 35 total because it's the same bag. And then the green ones, there are 7 out of the 35 total. So for that, the fractions have the same denominator, which means I can just add the numerators together. That's 10 out of 35. And so again, I need to see if I can reduce my fraction at all, and it turns out I can. 10 can be divided by 5, just like 35. And when I do that, I'm going to get 2 out of 7. 10 divided by 5 is 2, 35 divided by 5 is 7. So for the probability of picking an orange or a green one, I'm actually twice as likely to get those than the red, because it's 2 out of 7 for orange or green. All right? Let's look at another example. Another probability question tells you right off the bat. A little bit slightly different type of probability, but still probability. Probability of winning on a specific scratch-off is 1/4. If you buy 2 of those scratch-offs, what are the odds or probability that you will win on both of them? And then on the reverse, what are the odds or probability that you will lose on both? You know, strictly speaking, you're more likely to lose on a scratch-off than win, but let's look exactly how likely you are to win and lose. So the probability they tell us is 1/4 for just one of them. If I'm buying 2 of them, what needs to happen is I need to lose on the first and I need to lose on the second. And is your key word because in probability, and means multiply. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply the same probability together. And so when you multiply fractions, you just go straight across. 1 out of 16, which is not very good odds. So let's look at the reverse of that. What are the odds of losing on both of them? So in probability, your total possible probabilities need to add up to 1, which means if the probability of winning is 1/4, the probability of losing is 3/4. So 3/4. Again, I'm trying to win on both, or no, sorry, lose on both. So I need to lose on the first and lose on the second. So I'm going to multiply them together. And again, if I just go straight across, 9 out of 16. So as you can see, the probability on losing of both of them is quite a bit higher than the probability of winning on both of them, or even winning on one of them for that matter. You're more than twice as likely to lose on both for this hypothetical situation than you are to win on one of them. All right, let's look at one more example. At a restaurant, the menu offers an option of 4 appetizers, 6 entrees, and 3 desserts. If you get to choose one of each, basically an appetizer, entree, and dessert, how many different combinations are possible? So when I think of how many different combinations I'm going to be using, I think there's going to be a lot of things to choose from. And really the quick thing you want to think about is looking at my number of options for each choice and just multiplying them together, because that's how many different pairs you're looking at. And so I'm going to take my 4 appetizers times the 6 entrees times the 3 desserts. When I multiply those together, I get 72 different options. And those problems are really that simple. It's just taking the options you have for each and multiplying them together. So you may need another extra couple minutes to look at the menu because there's a lot of options to choose from, but it's a problem like that where it's really that simple. So I hope this helps when you get to these types of problems. They're not, in my opinion, geometry problems, but they're under the geometry section. But they are good ones to learn. Make sure you just take them one step at a time, and make sure if you haven't yet, checked out my previous videos and the ones to come. Thanks. If you have any other questions or you need assistance and you live in the Palm Beach County area, visit our website at geds.com to find a location near you and sign up for classes.